Hello, dear ones, it's Alice. I am of the stars. Hello, dear ones, it's Alice. I am of the stars. What was that? I was down on this trail right here, and I could tell there were coyote dens all around. It was a coyote city, right? So as I got farther and farther along the trail got narrower and narrower. And then I heard a coyote say, "Please go back right now." And so I said, on the astral plane, "I'll go right back right now." And the coyote said, "To tell the truth, we have babies right now." Pretty cool, huh? While I was up by the coyote town, a being spoke to me that was not a coyote, and I asked what it was, and it said it was a skunk. I have to tell you, I can't quite identify them yet, but they sound a little like coyotes, but they don't sound as sharp and sly as coyotes. They sound more, I don't know, vegetarian. Well, I don't think they are vegetarian, but they just eat beings that object less, like the larvae of beetles and so forth. And that changes the way that they talk, because they don't have to struggle so to catch and kill something to eat. So there's a softer, gentler tone to the skunks. And that got me on a roll, so I asked on the psychic plane, are there any ringtails around here? Because I've never seen a ringtail. I know they're here, but I've never seen them. And a ringtail answered me. It said, voice came from this direction over here, this direction, and it said, "I am over here, one ringtail, over that way." I think that maybe it meant down by the riparian area, by the creek. I may be wrong. There's a thicket over that way. That might be a good place to hide. Or maybe in the chaparral. I'll look it up a little later. Ringtail, what do you know? Ringtail. When I was on the early part of this trail, right here, when I was on the early part of this trail right here, I was talking on the telepathic plane to the animals about mountain lions, as I have an avid interest to know whether mountain lions are on any trail that I'm walking on. And they said no, and the raven said, "No, not here." And the songbirds were all a twitter. They said, "Why'd you ask that?" I said, "Because in the other places where I walk, sometimes there are mountain lions, and I don't want to walk where mountain lions walk." And the songbird said, "Don't mention that name anymore. It might bring them here." And then a ranger came in and said something unsettling, which I can't verify. I don't know if it's true. He said that they had stopped radio tagging the mountain lions. And I said, that's a good idea. I said this on a telepathic plane because I think it makes the mountain lions unable to compete in the wild with uncollared mountain lions. And the ranger said that's true in open places, if they're on the open range, because the collars get caught in the brush, but it's not true in a closed environment. I guess he meant by that on the other side of the freeway in the Santa Monica Mountains. So if it is true that they've stopped collaring mountain lions and tagging them, it could be that there are mountain lions around and that nobody really knows about it or can track them. So that would then explain the fact that I keep running into mountain lions claiming to be interested in unsavory things like tracking me. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I will say out here on this local trail today, there are no mountain lions and nobody is trying to track me. And I'm just trying to get along with all the beings because they're all having babies right now and I don't want to frighten the babies away, you know. Are you still there? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I heard that. Nice to meet you too. I know you don't like talking too much. Oh, very pleased to meet you. Another bird was trying to teach that bird to say, pleased to meet you, but on the telepathic plane, this other bird, I think it's out of California, towhee, right? Yeah, said we don't like talking all that much. Raven keeps saying, stop talking, stop talking. I was just talking on the telepathic plane to the raven. I said, why did you say stop talking? Are you talking to the babies? And Mother Raven said, yep, it's the babies. They have to learn to stop talking. Now I don't feel so bad. I don't think that the ravens back home are talking about me when they say stop talking. They're talking to their babies in the great trees. That's all it is. So, wow, that's great. Anybody there? Well, I was walking around this winding way, and a songbird saw my staff, my hiking staff, and it said, oh, she has a gun. And on the telepathic plane, I said to the songbird, it's not a gun, but don't tell anyone. And then in its mind, the songbird posed a question mark, right? And I saw the question mark, so I said, don't tell Coyote. And then up the hill, Coyote said, Coyote thought that was very funny, and Coyote said, don't tell Coyote she has a gun. No, don't tell Coyote it's not a gun. Very funny, Coyote. Very funny. Very funny guy. I heard that. I heard that. Is that Coyote? I asked just anybody that was there, this little path right here has a mean being on it. And somebody said, not here, over there. And I said, who is that that's talking? And the voice said, on the telepathic plane, the voice said, I must admit it's the girl over here. I have not met this girl, but I think they mean a woman hiker. Anybody here? Anything up? Anybody? Hello, hello. Pleased to meet you. I know there's somebody over there, but I don't know who. I can't tell. I can't see anybody at all. Nobody. Anybody there? Why are you guys hiding? Who is that? The ranger says there's a very big difference. Thank you, Ranger. I really need that. I gotta protect myself out here. Ranger says there's a very big difference between a hiking stick and a gun. No, there isn't. They're very similar. Right? That's not the ranger. Who is that there? Is that the owl? That's the owl. That's the owl. Okay, I'll tell you about it. The owl has a kind of a jocular voice, but it sounds like a guy, you know, big furry guy. But it seems like it's always merry or happy or joyful, not joyful. Amused, that's it, amused. And the owl is telling all the other beings that there's a very great difference between a gun and a hiking stick. And I try to object because I don't want them, the big predators, to bother me. And I want the songbirds to feel happy to talk to me, you know. But Owl will have none of it. Owl will have his say, and Owl knows the difference. So when I'm gone, I feel very certain Owl will inform everyone what's up with this hiking stick here. Some days you win, some days you lose. Me and the quails. I and the quails are on the outs today. I and the quail are on the outs today. Thank you for explaining that. Owls can be rather annoying. It's not quails, it's quail, they say. Earlier I asked where all the ravens had gone, and someone said an owl drove them out of this area here. This must be the owl in question. In fact, maybe it's owls. How many owls are here? Okay, can you hear them talking? They said 5 or 10 are nesting in these woods right here. That's a lot of owls and not many ravens. And it looks like no hawks today. This is where I saw the great rattlesnake a couple of years ago, but I'm not seeing a rattlesnake here today. I guess everybody's right about that. The rattlesnake is someplace else, in a more populated area, it seems. But I guess folks will figure that out on their own. Well, I'm having a pretty good time after all, even though Mr. Sun is not out today. It's fun talking to all these beings, isn't it? Ton of fun. Everybody has their own ideas. Thanks, Mr. Owl. I'm pleased to meet you, honestly. Do you believe me? Owl just said, Well, I think that you loathe me, but I don't mind at all. Why don't you mind? Okay. Al said, many beings loathe me, but I don't really care what they think. I do I do what I do, and I go where I go, and I really don't care what they think. Did I get that right? Al says, yes, you did get it right. So maybe there's a chance I'll be friends with the owl one day. Maybe that's maybe one of those girls is the one that talked to me earlier about the rattlesnake. Raven said, hawk, hawk. And on the telepathic plane I said, that's because hawks peck eyes out. And a skunk got upset about that. Down that way, the skunk got upset. And it said, oh no. And I said, but it would never peck your eyes out. And I think that because the skunk could use its scent glands to scent the hawk away. The hawk wouldn't like to smell bad, I think. Although it's not so bad that the skunks smell. The young ladies, I passed them just now, but they weren't talkative. They did smile, but they weren't talkative. I think it could have to do with the generation gap, you know. The generation gap is right huge for people my age and younger people. But I'm very pleased to meet some people who are wisdoms like me. It's just terrific. Whatever their age, it's always wonderful to meet a wisdom who can speak to the wind and hear the wind speaking and hear all the animals speaking. It's terrific. And I think it bodes well for Los Angeles that more and more women are beginning to attain the skills of the wisdom, like on that movie series, Wheel of Time, you know, the wisdom. And not only that, but there are men who are learning to be wisdoms as well. Isn't that terrific? Just great. If you get a chance to see the Wheel of Time TV movie series, it's quite an epic. It's pretty good. I like it so far, and I'm on season 3. Well, let's see what lies await on the trail today. On Sunday, I went to church, and I had, well, a bittersweet experience there. It wasn't so bad, and it wasn't so good. There was just a lot of commotion. I don't know. It seemed like there were big bully guys around, and it seemed like they had an eye on me. I don't know why, you know. And it seemed like there were hard, cruel men there in addition to all of the churchgoers. And when it gets like that in a mixed crowd on Sundays, I prefer not to be there, you know. It's too hard on my light worker sensibilities and my abilities as a wisdom. So on the way home, I was thinking about that. I was thinking, why is it that I can hear everyone and talk to everyone, and why are my words always ringing true, but the words of many other beings don't seem like that? They seem like crafty lying attempts to prevent people from knowing what they're like, you know? And it finally dawned on me that meditation that I and 4 or 5 other people did on the night before the full moon many, many years ago, up in the Santa Monica Mountains above Pacific Palisades. One of the benefits of that meditation is is some of these things that I'm experiencing, the ability to hear other people, the ability to speak to all beings, the ability to have people hear my words and know that my words are true. It's an incredible meditation from thousands of years ago in East India. And the name of the meditation is Drib Dristi Lochini Karma Meditation. I've featured it elsewhere on my website, awakeningwithplanetearth.com, so you can go and take a look. Or you can look it up on the 3ho.org website. It came from Yogi Bhajan, and he's the inspiration for that meditation. Even though it was known for many years, he popularized it in the West. I can vouch for the fact that it conveys extraordinary abilities. The big question is how to squelch them when you need to. So keep that in mind if you're thinking of copying my behavior. It's the type of experience when you hit it on the right day, right before the full moon, as the full moon comes up and passes over your head in the course of an hour or two, where you can begin to feel the motion of the spheres. You become like the moon in the sky, looking down on the earth and seeing her as you circle around her. And it's a lot cheaper than an astronaut journey, isn't it? All you have to do is spend a few hours. They say that you master that meditation the very first time that you do it for an hour and a half. I think it is, for a little while. So. I heard a bird up here. It's saying shh. It says it over and over again in a warning voice. I heard a bird right up there as I was going past along the trail here. It said something like this: chirr, chirr, chirr. And I asked another songbird over there what that meant. And on the telepathic plane it said, it just means there's a creature there. And as I walked farther on along this way, I found out that they used to say there's a creature there, and then they shortened it to chew, chew. Creature is there. There's a creature there. Chew. See? A contraction. Very cool, huh? Contraction. You know, that man that I saw on the trail, he said he just came over to spend some time alone, and apparently he got back home just then, and I could hear him talking on the physical plane, but it sounded to me like the telepathic plane because he was so far away. And he said to his wife, I met a woman on the trail who had nothing at all to say, but she had a lot to say about all the creatures there. I've met more people on the trail today who are wisdoms, both male and female. It's incredible. It's wonderful. This is new life on New Earth, isn't it? Way cool. And so far, none of us wants to admit it too much. It's too new, you know. It's too unusual. It's too great, these star gifts that we've received. It's too different from whatever came before, except amongst the early peoples of Earth and amongst the First Nations. And they still have that tradition. But most of us who live in the big cities of Earth, we've forgotten all about it. And here we have a chance to learn all about it again. Way cool. over here is a place, and that is a tree, I think, where they say that there's a rattlesnake. I'm not going in there, so I can't verify it. I was just talking to the young lady who was bitten by the rattlesnake over in that square. She was the very one that was bitten. She said she just sat down under the tree and it was on the trail, and nevertheless it bit her. I said, did it come toward you and bite? And she said, yes. So I said, what then happened? She said, for 5 days I was hovering between life and death, and now I am better. I would not sit under that tree. That's definite. God bless you all and keep you safe and be with you through all your days. In love, light, and joy. This is Alice B. Clagett. I'm of the stars, and so are you.